This is Planning for the Future, the podcast.
Welcome to the show. We're sitting here with Brian Parker. He's the president of Advanced Financial Concepts out of South East Louisiana. You're what, about 40 minutes or so outside of New Orleans?
That's right. We're about 40 minutes across the causeway. It's a big lake that goes over, causeway goes over Lake Pontchartrain, and I'm just north of that.
Excellent. So how long have you been doing this?
I've been in the financial services industry since 1984.
Wow.
Yeah, a long time.
And how did you get started?
Actually, I started in the insurance business, life insurance business, and you started with a company called United Companies that became ING, which became Voya, and that's really where it all started. That was back in 84.
Wow. Things have changed a whole lot since then, haven't they?
Oh, my gosh, yes.
Long-term care is one of those things that has changed so much.
Drastically.
It is not what you think it was. Even from 5 to 7 to 10 years ago, it has changed so much. It's not that, use it or lose it type scenario.
That's right. These policies and products have gotten a lot more sophisticated. Actually, they've gotten a lot more affordable. And so they do a lot these days that they didn't do back in the old days. Back in the old days, it was basically a nursing home policy. Now they can be used for assisted living. They can be used for stay-at-home help. They can be used for nursing home. And the key to it these days is the tax-free way of paying for these policies.
Oh, yes. There's so many tax-free options these days. Yep. That really, really helps in how they convert different things over. And you can use all that money tax-free to help pay for the long-term care.
Yeah, we're converting annuities into tax-free benefits, converting old life insurance cash value policies into tax-free benefits. And so we're taking advantage of the laws that are out there.
Right. And laws vary from state to state as well. What's different about Louisiana? Anything?
Well, Louisiana, in order to qualify for Medicaid, every state has different rules. But as far as the tax-free benefits, that's pretty much the same all over the United States.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
Well, that makes things even better.
It makes it more advantaged everywhere. That's
right. Exactly. And
right.
So what is the situation down in that area? Are you finding more people moving down, people moving away?
Louisiana is a very family-oriented state. So, some people move away, but I'm finding a lot of people that move away, once they retire, they come back. And so, it's a different way of life in Louisiana. It's a lot slower pace. The food down there is awesome. We have a lot of outdoor activities, hunting, fishing, crabbing, shrimping. The hunting thing is fun. I enjoy deer hunting myself. And, I live on the river, so we go boating. So, it's just a fun area to be in.
What are those, is it Nutria or whatever
these Nutria rat was actually brought in from another country somehow. And it's been really difficult getting rid of them because they eat up the marshes, and so they've actually not even a season on Nutria rat. You can kill those anytime you want. And from what I've heard, some people are eating them. I'm not one of those people.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah, but I mean, weren't they actually at one point there was that they were paying for people to go out there and hunt
kill them. Yeah, there were just too many of them. I think they've eradicated a lot of them, but they're still out there. They're a nuisance.
They're huge.
Yeah, they are. It looks like kind of like a beaver, something like that. But they're they're in Louisiana now, and there's no season on them. You can kill them anytime.
And those you hunt from the boat, right? You ride along on the boat and then shoot at the. Wow.
Absolutely.
That would just be like like some sort of target practice game.
I guess I've never done that one actually. Never done the nutria hunt.
But that's a night hunt too. I think
it can be. You have to have spotlights and that type of thing.
I fell into a documentary on it, and just one of those short YouTube type clips.
Sure.
And I was like, this is fascinating.
Yeah,
these things are huge. Well, much like that here in Missouri, the flying carp
That's right. I've heard about that.
Have started to come up here.
I've heard that.
And so they are the nutria of this area.
Just a nuisance, right?
Yeah, they're just... They finally opened a cannery not too far from here in the St. Louis area that will catch them, and they found a way to process it, and they use it for different things. Not, it's more like, pet food or something like that.
Animal consumption, not human consumption.
Something.
At least
something
they're
like
getting something out of these fish.
Getting some because they go through and reproduce so fast.
Right.
But you'll be riding along on a pontoon boat or a speedboat.
Here comes one.
These things will come flying right across the top. They're okay, but when the water is disturbed, man, they're out all over the place. It's nuts. They want to keep them out of the Great Lakes. That's the big thing because they just eat everything.
Well, they're a nuisance,
and
you need to try to get rid of all these nuisance animals and fish, and it's tough.
Yeah, but I mean, if you can find a way to take those and use it for, for good in a way, as well. So that's a long way from long-term care, right?
I guess.
When you came on the podcast, you're like, well, I'm going to talk about long-term care. Then I'm going to talk about financial advising. But no, we're talking about hunting.
Well, I know a whole lot more about long-term care and financial advising than I do carp catching or nutria hunting. So...
How about the Saints? Do you know much about the Saints?
I know a lot about the Saints, but I'm going to tell you, I'm not even sure we're going to have a year this year. It looks like with all this COVID thing going on that they may not even be playing this year. I hope it works out, but I don't know.
I hope something is figured out.
I know Drew Brees doesn't have too much longer to be a Saint. He's getting up there in age, and hopefully this was going to be the year. We say that every year, but he's getting up there, and he's a great quarterback.
Yeah, you had a good year not too long ago. I mean,
we've had a few good years. We've been up in there.
Yeah.
We've been in the hunt, as they say, but haven't come away with the trophy since 2009.
So I'm a Bears fan. I grew up in Chicago, so I still call that home, whatever. But New Orleans and the Saints were always kind of like the Bears South because they had Jim Finks, who was with the Bears.
That's exactly
right. They had Dick. They had Rick Venturi, who's actually he's actually a friend of mine.
Really?
Became very strange. He wound up working for the Rams here in St. Louis, and he was Ditka's assistant head coach down there. And so the Saints have always been in one of my favorite teams. So I don't hate you.
That's good. We appreciate. We don't hate. There are some teams that we hate. Chicago's not really one.
Right. If you were a Packers fan, we.
You hate the Packers. Right? Yeah, hate the Packers.
We might be fighting in the parking lot later.
Well, we're like a Falcons hater, so
I can see that.
We are definitely a Falcons hater.
I can totally understand that. All right. Well, let's get back to the topic of long-term care and financial advising. So let's talk about a little more how it has really changed from when you started. Now, when someone comes in and they're looking to just get started, which is the biggest thing, and that first step. Just getting started is the first thing. How do you go about it now?
Well, basically, there's two type of policies that people can use for long-term care. One of them is the old use it or lose it policy, where you pay the premium, you pay, and if you never use it, you lose all those premiums. People are kind of getting away from that because now they've got policies that you can take an existing annuity that you might might not need, and you're taking that money, you're converting that into a long-term care policy. It can be used tax-free. The money can be used tax-free to pay for long-term care. And what we're doing, I guess, over the last 5 or 6 years, taking life insurance policies that have cash values, we're taking those policies, adding a rider. It's a long-term care rider. And then let's say it's a $100,000 policy. That $100,000 could be used either as a death benefit, or it could be used as a long-term care benefit. So if they never use it for the long-term care benefit, then the $100,000 death benefit would go to the wife or the children or the family in form of a tax-free death benefit. But if they need it for long-term care, that $100,000 could be used for the individual who is the insured and most likely the owner of the policy. It could be used for their long-term care.
Yeah, and as people are living longer, there's more and more chance of people needing that long-term care, whether it be
no doubt,
whether they want it as in-home care, which people, due to COVID are kind of leaning more towards these days and having somebody come in, or whether it be going into an extended care facility.
Right.
And either way, you're looking at somewhere between $6,000 to $10,000 a month.
That's right.
To pay for this long-term care. And if you've got these existing life insurance policies or annuities and you can use them to your advantage, it's called what you guys always say, making your money work for you, right?
Well, what it is, it's called a living benefit of life insurance. So while you're alive, you're able to benefit from the death benefit by drawing it down while you're alive. And if there's any of that death benefit still around when you pass away, that would go on to your family. But in the meantime, if it's a $100,000 policy and you spend, let's say you spend $75,000 of it for long-term care, the remaining $25,000 is still going to go to your family in the form of a tax-free death benefit. So you get a living benefit while you're alive for long-term care, and then there possibly could still be a death benefit available for your family when you do pass away.
Right. And you talked about Louisiana as being that really, close family knit state, where, one of the things that has changed is you still don't have a lot of the multi-generational households. Now, are you still seeing a lot of that in New Orleans?
There's a lot of people that come back to New Orleans and South Louisiana area when they retire. A lot of people might go to Houston or they may go to Atlanta for work. But when it comes to retirement time, they're usually coming back down to South Louisiana because that's where their roots are.
You used to see it where, you might have the grandparents, the parents, and the grandkids all in the same house. But then as the world has grown, highways, things like that, families do get spread out.
Yeah, people don't live on the family farm anymore.
Right.
There is no more family farm.
Right, exactly. Maybe if you're lucky, there might be a family cul-de-sac.
It might be.
Maybe, but that doesn't happen.
Yeah.
But, it went from living around the corner from the family to now you might be an hour away, 2 hours
That's
away,
right.
3 hours away, still able to get back in.
That's right.
And then you do have, I'm from up north. You always see the snowbirds. Like you'll see the ones like, I'm done with this snow.
Sure.
I'm moving south.
That's right.
So then the kids are up there and, the parents are down in Florida. Well, obviously they're not going to be able to help take care of their parents.
And I'm seeing that a lot, where the kids aren't retired yet. Maybe they're in their 50s or 60s, but their parents might be in their 80s or 90s. But in their 50s and 60s, they're still working. Mm-hmm. Let's say that they live in St. Louis, but their family lives down in South Louisiana. Their parents live down in South Louisiana. They're not able to help care for them.
Right.
And so they're seeing what it's costing for long-term care fees and cost, and they're going, you know what? I don't want to do this to my children. What can I do at age 50 or 55 or 60 to better prepare so that my children aren't going to be stuck with the same situation that I'm stuck with now, that my parents need long-term care and they didn't take out policies way back then. Right. So these days, I'm finding a lot of people that are in their 50s, 60s are now seriously looking at converting annuities or converting life insurance policies, or even some of them are still buying the old use it or lose it policies, but they actually do want to have some type of long-term care strategy in their portfolio.
Yeah. And, if you're doing the asset-based stuff, that's you're again making that money work for you, getting that $1 to do the work of $4.
That's right.
Yep.
You can leverage that dollar to be worth many dollars that can be used to pay for long-term care.
Yeah. And again, back to the whole family thing, you'd ask them about, long-term care. What are you going to do? Well, my daughter's going to take care of me. Like we talked about is a lot of these children are still working.
That's
so
right.
There was a stat I read. It's like over $100,000 a year is what it's going to cost the child who's helping take care of, the parent or grandparent or something like that because of time they're going to miss out on work. And you don't think about this. If they go to move with if my parents come back in to live with me and I have to make any renovations to the home
Right.
because of that, you have to pay for all that.